Facebook. Welcome back to the Science Spectrum. My name is Alana and I'm the Education Coordinator here at the museum.
And I'm Anna Stasia. I'm an educator here at the Science Spectrum.
So we're going to be doing some kitchen chemistry for you. So if you want to go ahead and go wash your hands to get ready. So we're going to do a couple things here and show you how to turn milk into an arts and crafts project. So we'll show you how to get from the milk to here in a bit. And then also I will show you a recipe that you can try at home. Most likely you have all of these materials at your home, but if you don't, that is perfectly okay as well. Especially when it comes to the recipe, there's lots of different things you can find online, but I'll show you which recipe I'm going to be using today. So Anastasia's going to start off prepping this experiment for you, and then I'll go wash my hands so I get ready for that.
Alright, so we're going to make plastic from milk. First we're going to start off with a cup of milk. We're going to heat it up for 90 seconds.
That's really hot. Good to use hot water, but it hurts.
Now wait. In the meantime, we can talk about how it works. So plastic is a material that can be molded into a solid. So how do you get a liquid milk to be a solid? Normally you would freeze it, right? But you can't exactly mold frozen milk. So we're going to curdle it. We're going to mix some vinegar into it, and that's going to separate some proteins. So of all the proteins in milk, about 80% of them are called the casein protein, and it's really sticky when you mix it with vinegar. The other 20% is whey, and it's not interested in the vinegar, so it's going to stay away.
So how is this similar to like a cheese making process?
Well, they use other chemicals that are a little more edible and delicious, and it also separates those different proteins so that they can make curds kind of like this, but again, that just tastes better. And they can also add different bacteria and yeast to it, and that can also separate them and give the different flavors and colors that you see in different types of cheeses.
So to recap, what all do we need for this experiment?
A cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of vinegar, and a lot of paper towels.
Perfect. So probably stuff you have at your home that you can easily grab. So just 1 cup of milk to 3 tablespoons of vinegar. We're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beep, beep.
Alright, it's about to get a little stinky.
Alright, so definitely have parents help with this because this is very, very hot now.
Alright, we're going to do 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Oh no.
Oh, that's so weird.
You can already see it kind of clumping up, so we're gonna stir it for a little bit. Look at that.
Yes,
that happened so quickly.
You can already see it's starting to separate.
So if you use cold milk, it will still separate, but using hot milk will catalyze the reaction. That means it'll make it go faster.
Oh, that's so weird. Very cool. Alright, so once we get it stirred, what do we need to do with it? Oh, look at that.
You did?
No.
Why not?
Because you shouldn't eat most science experiments. I say most because the experiment I do next is one that is edible. Yeah.
Alright, it's nice and lumpy. So what we're going to do is we're going to strain the water and that 20% whey I was telling you about. The stuff that's not sticking to the casein.
I'm going to borrow the camera from Miss Megan real fast so we can... So we just have a colander and a coffee filter. You don't necessarily have to have a filter in there. I just prefer to use that so it catches everything instead of some of those smaller chunks falling through that. So we're going to leave this setting for a while just to drain, and we'll get our next activity set up. So pass the camera back off to Miss Megan. Thank you, Miss Megan, for reporting for us. And then back behind the camera we have Miss Ashley and Miss Emily as well, doing some social media support and helping us answer questions and things like that. All right, so time to cook. Do you want the coolest dad mug?
Absolutely, I love being the coolest dad.
All right, so what we're going to be doing is a chocolate cake in a mug. So I just went to Google and I Googled cupcakes because I know that's something that is pretty fun and pretty popular right now. So I figured I would give it a try. I wasn't sure about this, if it would work out well or not. But I figured as a scientist, I'm going to try it out and experiment. So we are using the Pioneer Woman's chocolate cake in a mug recipe. We're going to link that to the video so that you can find it. But pretty easy recipe, and all of the stuff we actually have right here in the museum and have it all in my kitchen at home. So really pretty convenient. It just takes a few things. So we need 3 tablespoons of flour. 1, 2, oh, that's kind of a big one. That's okay. And 3. Pass off to Miss Anastasia. All right, and then after that we need 3 tablespoons of sugar, which I realized I should have grabbed more measuring spoons.
No pressure.
Alright, just wipe off that flour really fast. Alright, so just to preface this, I am not a cook at all. Fortunately, I have a very amazing husband who is a phenomenal cook. So I was very nervous about this, but I can at least work a microwave. So that's good. Alright, so we're doing 3 tablespoons of sugar.
Yes, honey?
So sweet. Alright, there you go, Miss Anastasia. And then 2 tablespoons cocoa powder.
Don't tell the Pioneer Woman, but I'm gonna add more sugar.
Okay, alright. I'm sure she would be fine with it. So, you may be wondering, why are we cooking as a science spectrum? Why are we cooking? This is very much science. You need 2 of that. This is 100% science. Cooking, or baking in particular, there's a lot of chemistry happening. So I'm stirring up all my dry ingredients right here. They recommend a pinch of salt, but that's optional. So again, with this being a science, you can definitely experiment, try different flavors, try different things. I had an extra pinch, so I'll give you that. There we go. Okay. So you can definitely experiment with this recipe. You could try a little bit more salt, or a little less sugar, or whatever you would like. And you don't necessarily have to put in the same stuff that I'm putting in. But there are some pretty important things. So probably the most important thing of our cake recipe. Chocolate. Yes, probably. Sorry. Okay, but if we want a rised cake, we need the baking powder. So this stuff is the main reason why we get fluffy cake. So this baking powder, once it mixes with water, it starts to create carbon dioxide bubbles. And then those bubbles get trapped inside all of the other ingredients of your cake. And then as it heats, those gas bubbles expand and get bigger. So therefore your cake is able to rise. Alright, so I think we got all of our dry ingredients. Let me double check. Got the salt, baking powder. Yep. Okay, so now it's time for our wet ingredients. So we need 3 tablespoons of milk. 1, 2, 3. Okay, pass that over to you. There we go. Sorry. Alright, and then 3 tablespoons of oil, which I realized I did not measure out 2 of these, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. Alright, so now mixing up all of our dry and wet ingredients here. Oh dear. Good luck. As you can see, as science educators, we definitely get things in bulk, which makes it a little bit harder to do things at times, but I have faith in you, Anastasia. So look how fudgy that is. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so pretty. All right. Got this, Anastasia.
Oh wait, it's the wrong cup and I spilled it. I got this.
There we go. Just pour it, just pour it straight into your cup. It's fine. Yeah, Anastasia, I don't know if you're really much of a home cook either, are you?
Just the microwave.
Just the microwave, yeah, okay.
I did burn ramen once, so
Yeah.
I mostly let my husband cook.
I once set a Pop-Tart on fire, so Yeah.
Have either of you burned water? Oh.
I was making a vegetable soup, and it burned, but the vegetables were crunchy, so that was my last soup.
Alright, another thing you can then add are some chocolate chips. So these are just ones that I had in my pantry at home, but you could use peanut butter chips or caramel chips or nothing at all. It's perfectly up to you.
Potato chips?
Hey, that sounds fine. Sweet and salty. That would work out well. Alright. So once you get this nice and mixed up, all it takes is 90 seconds in the microwave. Oh yeah, I forgot. Thanks, Miss Megan. Optional, but you can also add a splash of vanilla in there for some extra flavor. Would you like?
Yeah.
Would you like a splash?
Splash me.
There's a little. Oh dear. Extra vanilla.
There's 2 splashes.
That's all right. Okay. Mix that up really good, and then we will put this in the microwave for 90 seconds, and then we will check back in on our milk curds. See how those are going. Okay. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. All right. Probably do one at a time. All right. And these over here now. Delicious!
Looks like cottage cheese.
It does look like cottage cheese, very much so.
Would you like to try it?
No.
Probably was.
It's not great.
Okay.
So we have a question.
What's that?
For the milk experiment, how does the vinegar and the other ingredients separate?
So the vinegar breaks up the proteins, and it makes the casein really sticky. It's already a long, flexible molecule, so by making it sticky, it just kind of groups together. Kind of like the hair on my floor when I haven't swept in a while, and it all just kind of sticks together. How's it laying out? Alright, so this part is very incredible. You have to pat it dry. We want to get all of that excess vinegar out, and some of the water as well.
What I think is really cool is that it doesn't actually stick to the paper towel. So I'm pressing that down, and it's just sticking to itself. It's not really sticking to the paper towel at all. I think that's really cool. All right. That's so cool. So it is a little smelly, just vinegar, strong vinegar smell is all I'm smelling. And then we can plop that. Sorry, making a mess, Anastasia. There we go. Kind of. Okay. All right. We got another question?
Is it edible?
Technically, yes, but it would probably taste pretty terrible.
Don't do it, friends.
Don't do it. Wait, like let the professional cheesemakers do that for us. Or if you really want to make your own cheese at home, Google a recipe and figure out how to do it at home to get it to taste good. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit ago, and I'm just not brave enough to try this.
All right. Now you have Play-Doh.
What's our next question?
Why doesn't it stick to the paper towel?
I think that's a great question. I think it's mostly just sticking to itself.
Yeah, so
it's
the vinegar just makes the casein sticky to itself. It's not interested in sticking to other things. It just wants to bind further.
It feels kind of like Play-Doh, mixed between Play-Doh and Model Magic, if y'all have ever played with that stuff. It's kind of what it feels like. So I think I dried this one out a little bit too much, so it's kind of crumbly and not sticking together as well as the one that Anastasia has. All right, so now that we have this, what can we do with it?
Well, we can play with it.
Yeah.
We can make little shapes with cookie cutters. And when it dries in a couple days, you can have little toys, ornaments, gifts.
All right, so
or a little token to remember your quarantine.
Yeah. You can make a little coronavirus out of it. All right, so little cookie cutter, have a little elephant here. Ooh, missed him. Let's see, get that to come out. So yeah, then you would just need to let that dry for a day or two. You want to check and make sure that it's fully dry. But we'll show you what you can do with it next.
Oh, my bear's. Oh God, I killed a bear!
Oh no!
Don't look, children!
Oh no! Yeah, it is a little crumbly. But, so this is one of those experiments. I've worked here at the museum for about 9 years now. And in that time, we always, research and try and come up with new activities and things to do. This is one that I thought would not work. So I'm pretty pumped that it did actually work, because I've had plenty of activities and experiments that I found that sounded really cool and awesome, and then they just miserably didn't do anything. So this is super fun. You got another question?
Can we bake it into cookies?
Oh,
Probably not.
I still don't want to eat it by any means. I'm trying to think. Cooking may speed up the drying process, but it might just end up burning more than anything.
Yeah, once all of that water is gone, it's just going to be crumbly protein bits, and it's not going to look great.
So best just to be patient and let it air dry.
So we have a question from Evan. He is wanting to know what happened to the mug and the ingredients after being in the microwave for 90 seconds.
That's more. Go ahead and put this next one in. So glad you asked. Look, we made a cake. Oh, it's still hot. Be careful. Again, with parents' help and parents' permission, you can do this. Let me clean off my fork real fast and I'll take it apart and show you what it looks like on the inside. Yeah.
Is the curdled milk edible for dogs?
No, it's got vinegar mixed in with it. Although we did pat most of it out, it is still in there, and they will not appreciate that.
Good question. All right, so here's our cake. Look, it's cooked all the way through.
So good.
Got those ooey gooey chocolate bits in there. Very nice. Okay, yeah, because you always have to end with a taste test. So I'll try it. It's probably really hot still. So, all right, here we go. I cooked a thing, and it's really yummy too. So yeah, you can have a lot of fun with this and a bunch of different recipes of flavors. If you had some sort of icing you could throw on there, or some whipped cream, or I don't know, you could add so much to it. But yeah, this is really delicious. So while I eat this, Anastasia will show you what you can do once your milk plastic dries. You can then decorate it. Woo-hoo. So, 2 activities and 1 science experiment.
You can also put your milk plastic in a Ziploc bag and save it if you want to play with some Play-Doh later, and then only leave it out when you want to dry something. Okay, here we go.
Oh, so cute. You see it a little bit better in the Coolest Dad mug. So, because of that baking powder in there, and once that baking powder mixed with the water, it created a bunch of bubbles, carbon dioxide bubbles. Those bubbles were trapped inside the other ingredients, and then when we microwaved it, started to cook, those bubbles get bigger and bigger and bigger. We talked a little bit, Anastasia talked a little bit about solids and gases, or solids, liquids, and gases. So with this, when you heat up a gas, it expands and takes up more space. So that's what's happening inside this mug right here. As we heat it up, those bubbles are able to expand, that cake's gonna rise, and that cake's gonna get really fluffy. So again, tons of experimentation you can do with this. Changing the flavor, adding different ingredients. There's tons of recipes out there online that you can check out and try out. So yeah. Do you have any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Eat it now?
The cake? Yeah, you can totally eat the cake now. I thought you wanted to eat the thing that we've been telling people to not eat.
I already tried it, it wasn't great.
Oh, you did try it? Okay, she did try it. All right. Okay.
I hope this tastes better.
Very good. It's really good. It is still pretty hot though. All right. So thanks so much for joining us here at the Science Spectrum today. If you try any of the things that you have seen us do at home, please let us know. Share those pictures with us. We'd love to see how you're hanging out with your family and enjoying what we're bringing to you. So please send pictures our way. Share it at the Science Spectrum, #Science Spectrum. You have another question?
Miss Ireland said it was super cool.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Miss Ireland. We are glad that you've joined us and hanging out with us. Again, we miss y'all, but we hope you stay safe, enjoy family time, and let us know how you're spending your downtime with your families. All right. check in with us next week. We'll be back with some more live streams. So